Hello, welcome back to another edition of To The Point podcast. I was doing well. We are 48 hours away from Super Bowl 56 live in LA. And throughout the NFL season, I've been talking NFL every week, and pretty much bi-weekly or just around that, my guests tonight join me to talk about the biggest stories, whether it was college, NFL, and it's only fitting that the last podcast I do before the Super Bowl is with Matt Wright. So, Writer, good to see you again, brother, and looking forward to the big game. And I'm always looking forward to talking to you.
Well, I appreciate saving the best for last, I guess. So I appreciate that. And like I said, thanks again for having me on. Looking forward to talking some Super Bowl. I mean, it's biggest game of the year. It's like you said before we started, it's kind of a little bittersweet, right? You get the Super Bowl, but then Monday you get the Monday morning blues. So but I think we're in for a good game and looking forward to breaking it all down with you tonight.
Yeah, before we get going on the Super Bowl, I wanted to ask. I mean, I assume he's your favorite player ever. TB12, Tom Brady, obviously 6 titles in New England. Was it sad to see him go, or was it, it's time for a new era and you were okay with him leaving the NFL?
I mean, if you asked me this 5 years ago, I probably would have been more disappointed than I am now. Like, yes, it's sad, but at the same time, like, you can't ask the guy to play forever, right? Like, he's done enough for my life. I mean, I got to watch him since I was 5 years old, basically, all the way up through, and he's been my favorite player for basically my whole NFL life, watching the NFL. So it's sad to see him go, but at the same time, I mean, he's given me more than I can ask for as a fan. So, wish the guy the best. Who knows? You may see him back at some point. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, there's already kind of been rumors to that, but I mean, thank you. I mean, he's the GOAT. At the end of the day, he's the best player to ever play the game. And who knows if we'll, in our lifetime, who knows if we'll ever see another one. So thanks, Tom, for everything, you've brought. You brought a young Matt Wright growing up in fandom. And, there's been some down years as being a Jays fan and a New York Rangers fan. And there's not a lot of winning when it comes to that, but Notre Dame getting smoked in the Final Four every time. But thank you to Tom Brady for giving me a little happiness growing up.
I mean, it's so crazy because you think about it. If Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt, how does Tom Brady likely doesn't play his second year? And they obviously won a Super Bowl, but does he stay in New England? They signed Bledsoe for $100 million, and you're not cutting Bledsoe without seeing Brady play as a 6th-round pick. He's at least sitting on the bench in year 3. Who knows what would have happened if that dirty hit on Bledsoe didn't happen?
Yeah, that hit basically gave a good player an opportunity to step in, which is kind of what in any sport, any athlete's just looking for an opportunity. There's some players, I see it in hockey all the time. Guy gets drafted to the wrong Q team and the wrong year. Guy gets hurt before training camp of his first NHL camp. You can go on the list, and any sport. And timing is everything in sports. Being able to be healthy and have the right timing can, take a player from playing in the East Coast to having a 10-year NHL career. Same thing in the NFL, right? Depending on where you get drafted to, like we say, sometimes it's better not to get drafted because then you can go to a team that might actually want to take a look at you compared to getting drafted late. But for Tom Brady, like you said, if that injury doesn't happen, chances are he may never see a minute of time in New England. So I guess thank you to Drew Bledsoe dropping down. You never want to wish an injury on anyone, but I mean, it made for a great 22-year NFL career. So thank you, Tom Brady, and wish you the best in retirement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great, the greatest career likely in the history of pro sports that we'll ever see. I mean, we're pretty lucky in our age group, right? We think about, we saw Brady, we've been able to see, I know you're a tennis fan like me, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods. It kind of makes you think, what's the rest of our lives going to be like watching sports? Because it can't live up to what we've already seen. And me and you, we're getting older, but we're still relatively young here.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Right.
But like you said, we've been very lucky. You know, I wish we were a little older so we would have got to see Gretzky play a little more.
Absolutely.
I vaguely remember seeing Gretzky in '99 when he was done. I was 5 years old. I didn't know what it really meant when he retired, but my dad speaks about Gretzky, you know, like we speak about Tom Brady kind of thing. But yeah, we've been very lucky in our lifetime, and hopefully this continues. We're hopefully in 10 years, 20 years, we're jumping on to the point and talking about someone else coming through. Who knows?
Right, exactly. Yeah, maybe it'll be one of the quarterbacks we're going to talk about in the Super Bowl. Before the Super Bowl, I wanted to get your reaction. Obviously, me and you both love college football. Transfer portal was running wild. I found the most compelling story was Caleb Williams leaving Oklahoma and pulling a Lincoln Riley, spurring his whole team, going to SC to join his former head coach. I mean, it's interesting. We talk about the Pac-12, how really it's quite irrelevant. Utah is the won back-to-back years. Oregon is in transition. I mean, they got Bo Nix from Auburn at quarterback now, which I'm not a big fan of that acquisition. But I don't think it has to be that long of a rebuild, if you will, for SC to be competitive and put themselves in a position to be a top 10 school next year in the country.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, you're getting arguably one of the best coaches in college and arguably one of the best quarterbacks. So right there, that's a good dynamic duo to start with. They also have a real good recruiting class this year. They're probably going to get some more. I really like what they're doing in the sense that good on the university of at USC, right, to make this move. Because back when I was, 12 to 15, USC was a powerhouse in college football, and they really haven't been the last 10 years. They've honestly been kind of a joke. So it's really, kind of kudos and props to the athletic department of USC for making these moves. I think they're going to be, they could be, I think at least a top 25 team. Yeah. I think you'll see them in the rankings. Now, like you said, the transfer portal, there's some I like about it. Like, I like that, for instance, Caleb gets brought in, Lincoln Riley brought him in. So you want to go to a team where you have their back, where they have yours. For instance, if a coach brings a player in and then he leaves, new coach comes in, you don't know, he wants his own guys. So I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is a guy like Bo Nix leaving, where they gave him everything. They gave him the moon, the sun, the stars, and then he leaves. I'm not okay with that. He was a freshman, didn't have to sit right into it.
He was a true freshman playing at an SEC school.
True freshman. Like, they couldn't give him more of an opportunity. So I don't like that. I'm okay when players leave, when the person who brought them there is no longer there anymore.
Right. Yeah. And also, if they're not playing, I look at Justin Fields, I'm fine with him leaving. I think about it. They started Jake Fromm over Justin Fields, which is baffling to begin with.
Joe Burrow. The transfer portal has made Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it changed his career, like completely changed. It changed his life. I totally agree. Bo Nix. I mean, we don't hate players, Ryder, but I don't wish well on Auburn. On Oregon. Like, that stinks to me of him going there and getting a fresh start. That just doesn't sit well with me. But I'm okay with a guy like Spencer Rattler, who had a tough year last year at Oklahoma. He wants to leave. I'm okay with that because he wants to boost his draft status, and clearly it's not going to come from the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, for sure. It comes down to an individual decision. I think everyone's different, kind of like the talk we had about players sitting out of bowl games or not. It's kind of the same idea, right? Where you got to kind of look in each case differently. And some of them you're going to like, some of them you aren't going to like. At the end of the day, you hope it works out for every player, because they're obviously making this move for one reason or the other. So you hope it works out for the player. And, best of luck to all the players who have made moves. And I hope it works out for all of them, because They obviously think this move is going to help their career in some way. So whether or not we like them all, I mean, I guess you just have to say, wish them the best of luck, I guess.
Yeah, I was surprised to see this, and I don't know if you saw it. I saw the combine quarterback list. Jack Cohn was on the list. I can't see him being drafted. The Notre Dame quarterback.
No, very, very familiar with Jack Cohn.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, I don't think we saw Ian Book playing any games this year, and he somehow got in. So
Yeah, true enough.
I just don't think he's done enough over his time. I think he is a good college quarterback. I just don't see him making it at the NFL level. He's too inconsistent. But hey, you never know. Someone might like him, and he could be a late bloomer too, right? So
Right.
I don't see it. You never know.
Yeah, no, I just found that interesting because I thought that last game he played was going to be his last, game as a quarterback. But good for him if he can go undrafted, he gets signed, like you said. There's opportunities there for at least to get to a training camp. If you're in that process. We're a few days away from the Super Bowl, and we're going to talk headlines, which I think are fun, depending on who wins the game. I think those are going to be big topics come Monday morning. But, there's all this talk now. Brady is retired and Ben Roethlisberger retired. Both these guys, top 5 quarterbacks at majority of their career. Aaron Rodgers just won his 4th MVP, but who the hell knows what he's doing? Nobody ever knows what he's doing. So I thought it'd be fun to go through if you had to start a franchise today and rank your top 5 quarterbacks. So why don't you start? You can go 5 to 1, and then we'll talk about it and kind of see where we stand.
Sounds good. And this is going to be tough because there are a lot of good quarterbacks in the league. And there's a lot of factors you want to put into place. Are you looking for win now, or are you looking for, 5-10 years down the road? So I kind of went with, if I was starting a franchise and where I'd want to be in 10 years with my franchise.
Okay.
To me, number 5 is a wild card. Kind of off the board. I went with Deshaun Watson.
He's on my board too.
Okay. All right then. So the reason I go with Deshaun Watson is just because before, everything happened in his life, he was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And 100%. I still think he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. I think any team would be lucky to have him if he's there to play football, if all his legal issues get sorted out. And he's a talent. The guy could win an MVP. And yes. He's still going to be, who knows what happens to him this year, where he ends up. But to me, he's a top 5 talent. He had led the league in pass completions and yards the year before, 2020. Mm. I'm going to go Deshaun Watson, number 5. Number 4, Mac Jones. I went Mac Jones, Patriots fan, kind of a risky pick too, but I think he's done enough in the first year to think that you can build off of what he's done. I think he's going to be a reliable quarterback. I think he's one of those quarterbacks. Maybe he's not one of the best in the league, but I think he's a quarterback you can build a team around.
Right.
Number 3, I went Josh Allen. Josh Allen's still relatively young. He has all the tools. He's, to me, a top 5 quarterback in the league. Buffalo wouldn't be where they are without Josh Allen. I think he's a gamer. I think he's just a great teammate. I think his teammates love him.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that I'd go through a brick wall for. So I'm going to say number 3, Josh Allen. Number 2, I went Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, once again, a lot of same things as Josh Allen. He's still young. I mean, he's made it to 4 AFC championship games in a row. Super Bowl champion. He's going to be hungry. He's, like I said, still young. He doesn't get hurt he's been fairly healthy. And he brings star factor. And if you're starting a franchise, you want someone who's going to sell jerseys, put butts in the seats. So I went with Mahomes, and number 1, I went with, maybe it's just a little recency bias, but I went Joe Burrow. And what he's done this year, I think you're only going to see more from him in the years to come. He's got that wow factor. I love his swagger, but at the same time, I think his teammates love playing for him. And even though he has that swagger, he's there to play football. Yeah. He loves playing the game. And I think he's going to be a star in the league. So those would be my 5: Deshaun Watson, Mac Jones, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow. And I mean, I'm leaving guys off this list. There's lots of I mean, Baltimore Ravens, they got an
Yeah,
MVP quarterback there I left off, right? So
right.
it's tough. Those would be my 5.
Yeah, I didn't think of Lamar. I don't have him on mine either. So yeah, we have a lot of the same guys. We have 4 of the same. I don't have Mac. That's my one difference from you. So also 5, I have the different. I have Justin Herbert, and I went with Herbert because I do still think he has to work on his late game decision making, kind of clock management type as a quarterback. Nobody's ever going to be Tom Brady when it comes to being great in those situations, but I do think he needs to tweak that a little bit. When it comes to arm talent, when it comes to his athletic ability, I think he's a very smart guy in the grand scheme of things. He's got all the talent you want. He's a modern day quarterback. Plus, he's not Burrow when it comes to swagger, but I do think he's marketable. He's a good looking kid. He's very, very much about the team. And I think if you were on the team, you'd like to play for Justin Herbert. 4, like you, I have Deshaun Watson. And of course, this is all contingent on his court, but on the field, this guy can just flat out ball. I mean, whoever gets this quarterback this offseason, it's going to change their franchise. I'm sure I look at a team like the Carolina Panthers. I'm sure they're dying for Deshaun Watson services. I think there's a number of teams. A couple weeks ago, I gave you credit about when we were talking about Vegas, and you pitched me about Aaron Rodgers going there potentially this offseason with a trade with the Raiders. I think Deshaun Watson may be in the Raiders' plans because they host the Super Bowl next year. I think that'd be a big splash, and you back-to-back years, the team that's hosting the Super Bowl, the city, the team has represented them. I think that's more pressure on Vegas to be competitive next year, not just flame out in the first round. 3, I have Josh Allen. Like you, love him. He's such a threat because he runs the football as a quarterback, but it's different than Herbert. It's different than Mahomes. He loves contact. He will run into a 280-pound lineman and say, "That's all you got?" Like he's got the biggest arm in the NFL. I think he's got a Brett Favre arm, a John Elway type arm where he can just sling it down the field. And like you said, I think it's impossible not to like this guy if he's on your team. He's just salt of the earth. 2, I have Joe Burrow, and him winning the Super Bowl potentially could change my opinion. But the reason I put Mahomes 1 is, Mahomes had his struggles. I was hard on him when he lost the AFC. I thought he played terrible. I blame most of that loss on him. I think it was just really poor play, and he looked like a deer in the headlights in that second half. But he's still the most talented quarterback. I still think again, you talk about marketability. He's been 4 AFC championship games is no slouch, which I think the AFC is the better conference the last 3 to 4, the last 5 years at least. And I think Burrow, if he continues to get better, he drags a franchise that is way less talented to Kansas City to another AFC championship game back in these situations. I think he can be number 1 because it's so rare to see a guy get sacked 9 times and he doesn't flinch. Like I don't know if you noticed that, Ryder, in that game. He didn't look scared. He didn't look timid. He didn't throw the ball away. Like he didn't go Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady where he throws it on the ground whenever somebody's, a foot away from him. He was just like, okay, like next play. And that's something that is really appealing if you're in management, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you said we both kind of 4 for 5. We both have 4 of the same, so obviously we're kind of thinking the same way. But like we said, there's some players we left off this list here too. I didn't even think about Herbert, right? So there you go. And I, looking back, maybe I have him in my top 5. Like there's so many ways you can move in and out with this list. But it just shows that there's a lot of good quarterback play in the league, and if you're starting a franchise, I think there's a lot of guys that you'd want to have, but there's also a lot that you don't. We see that with some of some of these teams. I mean, the other one we left out too, and look at Lawrence. Yes, he didn't have a great year. Who knows? But he could pull a Joe Burrow next year.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's got the talent around him. But I mean, Cincinnati, we didn't really think much of them to start the year either. So who knows? But a lot of good quarterback play in this league, and very curious to see what happens with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he's a fascinating one because he's not staying in Houston, and where does he go? I think Carolina makes a lot of sense. Apparently Miami doesn't want him, which makes no sense to me. But there's Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins for you. They are incompetent, so they're right on brand there. But yeah, I just thought that was a fun little exercise to go through. And you got one of the, we didn't include Stafford, who's in the Super Bowl, but obviously he's a guy that he's in his 14th season. That's the second longest career before getting to a Super Bowl behind John Elway. So we'll see what happens there. Rams, Bengals. Rams obviously were supposed to get here. If you look at Vegas, I don't think they're the betting favorite. I think the Bucks were week 1, but they were right there. I mean, they were a loaded roster. Bengals I think they had the 3rd worst odds to get to the Super Bowl. Zach Taylor, I think, had the 3rd best odds of getting fired as a head coach, which is another crazy prop that didn't hit, but it tells you what people thought about the Bengals. And what team, what's the most compelling story for you about each team before we get into headlines that we might see? What really makes this compelling from each side for you, Ryder, going into the Super Bowl?
I think from a Rams side, the most compelling thing is how they've been able to bring a lot of stars from other teams together and just buy in and not trying to be, the man or the Flash, or, you look at Jalen Ramsey when he was in Jacksonville, you look at OBJ when he was in the Giants and Cleveland. You can go on and on. There's 4 or 5 of them, but the fact they've come together as a team, and to me, that looks like a football team there. And the other thing that's so compelling about them is they were able to handle the pressure. There was a lot of pressure on them to start the year right away. What's going to happen? And then they go out and they have a good start to the year. And then middle of the season, they kind of fumble a little bit. They lose 3 of 4. They're really not looking like a great team. We're on here talking about how I don't know what's going to happen with them, where they're going to go. And they really turned the corner the last 6 weeks of the year. And I think the compelling for me is the fact they're just able to handle the pressure, where you see a lot of teams in sports over the years not able to handle that pressure.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree about the buying in. I mean, OBJ, you haven't heard any negative thing about him. You've only heard he's a great guy. Him and Cooper Kupp, they seem like they get along great. I mean, every time they get a touchdown, it's a celebration about a team. It's not about, okay, it's about me. Jalen Ramsey, I think, is completely changed from Jacksonville. You can tell he wants to win, and he wants to win for the team, not just about Jalen Ramsey being the center of attention. So I completely agree with that. I look at the Bengals, and, to me, Ryder, they have the opportunity to close a story that rarely gets told rarely gets that last page written on. And that would be the Cinderella story. Butler didn't win. Loyola Chicago didn't win. The Montreal Canadiens last year didn't win the Stanley Cup. There's so many stories where you get so close to, okay, we can do it. Cincinnati made the Final Four. If they would have won, that's another, that's a lesser story, but at the same point, you get my point here. It's, can you close the story? Can you actually be a Cinderella? Because if you don't finish it, are you really a Cinderella story, or were you just a team that caught fire that never really had it to begin with to close the ultimate deal?
Well, I mean, that's exactly it. You look at, let's say 10 years down the road, are we talking about, well, there's 2 stories. One, it's, remember when Cincinnati won the Super Bowl? Or it's, remember when the Rams played in the Super Bowl and won? Who did they play again?
Yeah.
Oh, let me look it up. Oh, yeah, that's right. Cincinnati. They went on a run there.
35.
Yeah. But what a year for Cincinnati football. And look at college football, NFL. I mean, who knew Cincinnati was the powerhouse of football?
Rule the jungle.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But to me, the other line too, I had two headlines. One would be Cinderella, and the other one would be Joe effing Burrow.
Yeah.
If he's able to do what he's done this year and put it all together and win a championship, that's just one hell of a comeback story.
Yeah.
The other thing, gotta give props to Jamar Chase. We were dogging him at the draft, dogging this guy. So I apologize to the Cincinnati scouting staff.
Yeah.
They obviously knew what they were doing. But to me, Joe effing Burrow, man, if they're able to win.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't wrong, Ryder, because he did get sacked the most times in the NFL. So we were half right, but Jamar Chase was just that damn good that we seem wrong. So we deserve
Fair,
some credit,
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I like that point. No, that works for me.
Yeah. If the Rams win, do you think an article will be written, or at least this conversation will be discussed, that Aaron Donald is the best defensive player to ever play?
Yes, I do. Top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I think you would make the argument top 5 right now, even if he doesn't win.
Mm-hmm.
But especially if he wins, he's in my top 5, and I think you could put him in, especially for his position as interior.
Right.
What he does exactly in his position, best player if he wins. It's hard to compare in NFL because there's so many different positions where guys do different things. Right? You look at Deion Sanders, he shut down the side of a field.
Yeah.
You know, Aaron Donald can't do that. But also Deion Sanders can't do what Aaron Donald does. So it's apples and oranges, right? But I think you could make the conversation for it, at least to consider if they win.
Yeah, I agree. And what I think, I think this game is so important is Lawrence Taylor has Super Bowls. Troy Polamalu has a Super Bowl, bowls. Ed Reed has Super Bowls. Bruce Smith has, you go through all the greats, that Ray Lewis, I don't like him personally, but he's got Super Bowl. You can't take those away from him. The greats, even the defensive side of the ball that don't get talked about that much, win. So I think it's so vital, even if he only gets one, Ryder, to be in that position to say, okay, at least I won one, because people will hold that against him when it comes to, GOAT debates and things like that. It'll be, well, he never won anything. These other guys did.
I think a great comparison would be looking at Alexander Ovechkin in the NHL. Think about the talk before Ovechkin. Man, he's just such a great player, but is he ever going to win one? Can he bring a team over the hump? And I know it's tougher in football to do that. There's, so much, there's offense, defense, there's so many different scenarios, so many more guys in the field, so much, it's so hard to do it individually, unless potentially you're at the quarterback position. From a defensive side, it's a little tougher. But I look at Ovechkin, it's the same type of conversation where it's like, as soon as he won one, no one's questioned Alexander Ovechkin in the last 4 years. Like, there's been not one bad thing said about Alexander Ovechkin in the last 4 years. Can he lead a team? Can he do this? Can he do that? Everyone just loves Ovi now. And I feel like Donald, that same kind of thing. If you can get over the hump and just get one, you don't need to get 4. You don't need to get 3. You don't even need to get 2, but you got to get 1. Look at Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid in the NHL. Connor McDavid could go down as one of the best players all time, but man, does not looking like he's getting a cup anytime soon.
Oh, no. He might have to leave the City of Champions to get his one. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it's important for him. I think another headline we'll see if the Rams win is teams, it'll be written, and I think teams will have to think about it. We got to go all in. Screw draft picks. We got to get players now. You look at the Rams, they don't have a first round pick till 2024. They trade them away like they're just chicken feed. Like, they don't care. Like, take it. Vaughn, come on in. OBJ, coming in. Stafford. Look, they see players, great players that are available. Jalen Ramsey, they traded 2 firsts for him. It's all worth it if you win. And the Rams will be validated for this reckless strategy, if you will, if they win the Super Bowl. And I think it'll make other teams look at this and say, okay, we need to be more aggressive. maybe our long-term plan is cut in half and we say, there's a great quarterback, there's a great skill position player, screw the draft, let's go get him tomorrow.
I think you saw that yesterday in the NBA when it came to the Nets and Philly trade.
Right.
I think Philly gives up 2 first-round picks. Like, the process is over. They need to win now. The process is right now.
Yeah.
And I think you could see that, like you said, in the NFL, 100%, especially if as a GM, as a coach, you're hired to get fired. At some point, you're getting fired.
Yeah.
So at some point, if you haven't won in a few years, maybe try and go all in. And you know what? If you're probably going to get fired in a couple years anyway, so you might as well try and win one and then stick around for 10 years. Guys aren't afraid to make moves. And I mean, if they win, you're not talking about them trading away their picks. Now, if they lose on Sunday, it's a different story because they might not get back there as soon as you like. You see it in sports all the time. Look at the Chicago Blackhawks, right? They win 3 Stanley Cups. Where are they now as an organization? But at the end of the day, if you're a Chicago Blackhawks fan, you're probably happy you got 3 cups. So it's definitely could be a headline if they win for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Because you're right. Because if they lose, it's, well, why do we trade for Stafford? Jared Goff got us here. We still couldn't win. Stafford's a way better court. Stafford's got a ton of pressure. I think he's got the most pressure. I think it's a bigger legacy game for Aaron Donald, like we just talked about. But I think bar none, out of all the players, Stafford has the most, because I think if he wins the game, he goes into the Hall of Fame. No questions asked. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's got a Super Bowl. He'll have all the numbers. I think he gets into the Hall of Fame. So I think that's a lot of pressure. But then also, he's got to win for LA. He's got to validate himself before you get to the Hall of Fame and say, I'm better than Jared Goff. Everybody knows that, but it's not like you got Brady. You beat Brady. It's Cincinnati. The Bengals are sitting there. Like, you got to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, you mentioned legacy and looking at comparing Donald and Stafford. It's more pressure is on Stafford, 100%, because you're the quarterback. At the end of the day, the quarterback can control the game more than anyone else. But when it comes to legacy, I don't think we're going to be looking back. The word legacy, I consider going to the best. Right. Legacy to me screams best of all time or one of the best of all time. But we just named the top 5 quarterbacks in the league and we didn't have Stafford on it. Yeah. So what Stafford's legacy? I don't know if you really even use the word legacy. That's not saying he's not a great player. Aaron Donald, on the other sense, guy has a legacy because he's down as one of the best players of all time in his position. Right. But
like Stafford might be better than Eli Manning, but he won't have as great a legacy as Eli Manning.
No, exactly. So it's to me, Donald more for the legacy, but pressure. Stafford absolutely has the most pressure in this game. I don't think there's any pressure on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, anyone on the Bengals. I think the Bengals, man, as long as they don't lose by like 35, even if they lose by 35, at the end of the day, man, you're playing with house money right now. Yeah. Like house money. Who knows when you're ever going to get there again? Look at Montreal, like you said. I mean, they're looking 5-10 years out to even being competitive again. Right. But when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, they're playing with house money. The Rams, there's pressure on the Rams. You're playing at home, in your house. You're the team that's supposed to be there at the start of the year. You're the team that you're supposedly know all the tricks. You have the best coach. You should win this game. So it's not, if the Rams lose this game, they blew a massive opportunity. Playing the Patriots a few years ago, yes, it's an opportunity, but it was kind of a coin flip. Could have gone either way. This game, yes, the Cincinnati can win, but to me, the Rams have to win.
Yeah, totally agree. They have to win. It's Cincinnati. Come on, like they're not supposed to be a Cinderella story. You beat them. You don't have there's not. I mean, Kansas City compared to Cincinnati. I mean, it's no comparison who you'd rather play. I mean, it's not even a debate. You go, okay, Cincinnati times 10. Cincinnati for 200, Alex. It's that simple. Let's switch to the Bengals. You talked about Burrow, which I completely agree. One thing I wrote down, Ryder, is with the Bengals, if they win the Super Bowl, I think there'll be articles. I think it'll be a headline. Hey, you don't have to rebuild in football because you can finish next to dead last and get to a Super Bowl the next year. Whether that's true or not, I don't think it is, but I think it's going to give bad teams, it could be false hope that you can retool quickly and get to the promised land in a shorter period of time than hockey, basketball, or other sports.
There's two ways to look at it. I think you can look at it that way, where it gives bad teams false hope. But I think it makes bad teams look even worse. Yeah. I think it makes, if you're a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, or if you're the fan of the Detroit. New York Jets, Detroit Lions, go on and on. I think it's embarrassing. You're like, come on, Cincinnati's able to do this? Yeah. Like, what the hell, man? Yeah. What the hell? Why not us? But yes, it does definitely give teams the ability, but I hope it doesn't push teams to try it too much, because like you said, it's a Cinderella. Cinderella doesn't happen every year. Right. Cinderella happens once in a while. You don't win the lottery every time you buy a lotto ticket. You may win it. If you're lucky, you may win $100 on the lotto once in your life. Right. For every $5 ticket you buy. But you're not winning $1 million every month. No. So at the end of the day, they're not supposed to be there. So I know sometimes we have just a copycat league in every sport. It's a copycat league. I hope we don't see a copycat league with Cincinnati.
Yeah, and those other teams don't have Joe Burrow. Daniel Jones is not Joe Burrow. Jared Goff is not Joe. Trevor Lawrence, maybe he could be. I mean, oddly enough, Ryder, Jacksonville is the team that screams to me that has the best chance to do this, and their roster is worse than Detroit and worse than the Jets. A lot of it has to do with quarterback. But another thing I have down, Burrow and Chase, you win a Super Bowl year one. You could say it's year one for both players, as Joe Burrow didn't get to play a full season last year with his terrible knee injury. You'll hear chatter. These two have the potential to be the best quarterback wide receiver duo ever, as idiotic as that sounds.
If they win, that will be in the papers next week. Oh, 100%. It'll be in the Cincinnati papers, but it could be other people saying that, getting the headlines going. It would be a headline piece for sure. Now, is it true? No, it's not true. No. Super Bowl. It could, not saying it's going to happen, but they could never play in a Super Bowl again. It could happen.
It's better odds that they never get back to one than they get to one.
Absolutely. So when you're saying that, yes, it's year one, once again, Cinderella story. Not saying it happens every year, but if you're a fantasy player, if you could have both of those, if you're a fantasy owner and you could have both of those guys, I think you'd be pretty happy for the next 10 years.
Damn right.
They're both studs.
Yeah. Chase, for a rookie, that guy is, oh my God, he's so good. And but we loved him. We hated the O-line, which sucks. So we're right, and we're gonna stick by that.
Do you remember before the year started, when they were in exhibition, when there were talks of Chase dropping balls, Jamar dropping balls, can't hold the ball, 2 drops in an exhibition game? My God, no one's saying that now.
No, those were erased, I think, on the mothership. That report was just deleted. Yeah. Let me ask you that. We're going to talk about props later. Here's this one that came to mind. Say Monday, regardless of who wins the game, if there's a long-term bet that you can lay down, and it's Bengals to miss the playoffs next year, would you throw some cheddar on it?
What are the odds? I mean, I always ask. To me, I think they'll make the playoffs again, because I think their division's getting worse. I think they're still the best in their division, especially with now having the 7 wild card, up to 7 teams per conference in. To me, I think they're going to make it. Now, if you gave me 10-1 odds, yeah, I'll probably throw a little cheddar on them not making it, just to hope. I mean, I threw a couple pretty crazy ones for Sunday. I put my bets in actually about an hour before we did are on this chat here, and so I have my picks in. I wanted to get them in before we did this tonight. So yeah, I think it could be a story. I mean, you gotta love a good headline, don't you? But they could easily miss the playoffs. I could see it happening. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen because you want to see a small market team succeed.
Right.
But hey, it could easily happen. Look at Montreal, won the Stanley Cup final. Now made it to the Stanley Cup final. Now fired their coach. I watched them play last night. Ooh.
Yeah, Marty St. Louis, the savior of all saviors, couldn't save them last night. That was a puzzling hire to me. But yeah, that's another podcast for another day, him getting the job there. Before we get to prop bets, most important one-on-one matchup Sunday is what?
To me, I got a couple. First of all, it's between OBJ and Cooper Kupp. What's Cincinnati doing?
Right.
Who are they putting on who? Because if Eli Apple's on Cooper Kupp, then Cooper Kupp's gonna have a big day. If Eli Apple's on OBJ, then OBJ's gonna have a big day. One of the two of those receivers is gonna have a big night on Sunday because the Bengals just don't have the safety and cornerback play to stop one of them. To stop both. They may stop one, they're not gonna stop both. Very, very interesting to see those matchups. Also, I'm interested to see what the Bengals do with their offensive line on Donald Taylor. I think those are massive, massive matchups.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's going to need to use their tight ends to help because you can double Aaron Donald, but Leonard Floyd and Von Miller one-on-one is not a good matchup either because Leonard Floyd's a really good player. Von Miller's rejuvenated. I mean, and Cincinnati's got a bad offensive line. So I think if Uzama plays, he's important. He's going to have to stay in there longer and help block. Drew Sample, their backup tight end. I mean, they're going to have to bring in extra bodies, I think, because that's the key to this game staying competitive. Because this game could easily be what it was last year, where Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. And I would, if that happens, if you see it early on in the game where it's a 3-and-out and he's running for his life in the first three carries, three plays of the game, it doesn't bode well for the game being competitive. I mean, I think defense has a bigger impact on this game than offense for LA if they win.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's going to be any problem for the Rams to score some points.
Right.
Now, on defense, can the Rams slow down Joe Burrow, and can the Bengals D slow down the Rams? Because I think either way, one team is going to put up a lot of points on Sunday. I think the winning team has more than 35 points. I really do. I think it could be a close game. I think it could be like a 35-32, 35-30. But I think you could also see a 45-10 potentially for the Rams.
Right. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what kind of red zone defense, because that's something Cincinnati struggled with in the playoffs, is they settle for a lot of field goals, which isn't good. I mean, it's gotten them to this point. The Rams do that too against the Niners. They got themselves in those situations. Matt Gay missed a field goal. I think field goal kicking could be really important as well. I trust Money McPherson more than I do Matt Gay. Oddly enough, a rookie kicker who's just a stud. But I think that could be an important head-to-head matchup as well. Betting. You are a betting analyst here on the podcast. I don't do much of it. I like learning about it through you because I know it's going to be an important part of sports as we move forward here with DraftKings and FanDuel and ProLine and all the big betting sites. But kind of tell us about your bets first, and I'll kind of maybe think of some more props of my own that I maybe you'll know if they're out there, and we'll chat about that.
Sounds good. And I just want to give the listeners at home, analyst does not mean successful. Analyst just means anyone can be an analyst.
Yes, that's true.
So let's not pretend but in saying that, I have been successful with a few good props over the years. I had Julian Edelman at 41-1 to win MVP a few years back.
Nice.
Last year I won some money on some props last year. Highest half, passing yards. I did all right last year. For bettors, the Super Bowl is the biggest day. One of the biggest day, maybe World Cup potentially. There's some other ones, but Super Bowl
It's
there'll
got to
be
be the
more people.
biggest week of the year for betting sites, you'd think.
Oh, 100%. I mean, people who don't bet on the Super Bowl.
Right.
People get a ticket just because they're watching Super Bowl, get someone, hey, what does this mean? What do you think? Who do you think's going to win? I'll put $20 on them. You see a lot of people who don't normally place wagers this weekend because it's a party. And it's one of the events that it's not people getting together and there happens to be an event on. People are going there and that's the main thing.
Right.
That is the party, is the Super Bowl. People who don't celebrate the Super Bowl are celebrating the Super Bowl because it's a big party. It's one of the biggest parties in the year. So when there's a party going on, people like to have a little action on it. So for me, I think there's in Sunday's game especially, I'm loving overs. I'm loving the overs. I think maybe both quarterbacks, at least one will hit their over. I could see the game's at 48.5 right now, which is a pretty high Super Bowl. Normally you see low 40s because normally Super Bowl scoring, you expect a low game. You're thinking a 17-14, 21-17 game. That's what you picture most Super Bowls. But you don't really see a 35-32, but I think you could see that this weekend. So maybe some overs. If you can hold off until Sunday to get your picks in, and maybe you hear about matchups, who's on who, run down to the store at 6:00 if you think you have an in. And one thing I like to suggest too is if you're trying to make money, get 2 tickets. So let's say you have $20, let's say, and you want to have some fun, but you actually want to try and make a little money too. Take $10 and get a ticket with 3 or 4 picks that you think might hit. Maybe even 2 picks, 3 picks, 4 at most. And then take another $10 ticket and throw 3 or 4 funny things to happen and say, oh, if that hits, that's it. And try and win a bunch of money just for laughs.
Right.
I think that could be a fun way to go about it.
Okay. Are you a coin toss guy?
I hate the coin toss bet. I hate the coin toss bet because I hate being out of it right away.
Right.
Maybe do the coin toss bet if you're mixing it into a parlay where you have a combo ticket. So you could, let's say, if you win 4 of the 8 games you bet on, you win a bit of money. If you win 5 of the 8 picks, you win more. 6 of the 8 more. Where if you miss 1 or 2, you can still make a profit. But there's nothing worse than having, let's say, a $20 pro line with 5 or 6 picks on it. You have the coin toss, boom, it's over. Now you're out for the night. There, all your action's done. Right. So I'm not a big coin toss guy. I get a kick out of the anthem because you can't predict a coin toss, but you can predict the anthem. And last year there was someone who got in and videotaped the anthem, and it did hit the over. And he told some buddies, and his buddies won some big money. And you can see that happen. So I'm always curious about the anthem. Who has the in? Who knows what color the Gatorade is?
Right. And I guess if you can figure out who's singing it, you can go back and listen to some of their performances. And if you know they like to keep it going, maybe it leans you to go over, or if they're quick, go under. So that's interesting too. Can you bet on the Super Bowl halftime show, the length?
On some books you can, not standard, like you can on ProLine, but you actually can on some books.
That's such a degenerate move. Oh my God.
If you're betting on something it's tough when you're betting on something that's not actually part of the game. Right. It's like, come
on. Did you go over on quarterback rushing yards?
I didn't. Burrow was at 11.5. I liked it.
Over.
I didn't take it though. I did. And this one was risky, but I really liked the odds. There was one ticket where I did, it was rushing Joe Mixon over 64.5. Now that's a lot. And I don't know if it hits, but if it does, it was paying really good money odds. The other one I put in was if there's going to be a roughing the passer penalty. I said yes. The odds were 130 that it wouldn't. And the odds were 310 that it would. And to me, man, at over 3-1 odds, that's only one. They're only asking for one penalty. I think that hits, especially with the defense of the Rams that likes to pressure.
Yeah, I like that one. The refs will throw a flag. they'll have to know that you're
Yeah.
there. They got to make their presence felt. Hey, we're here too, Super Bowl. It's our crew. Yeah, I like that one. How about longest field goal?
I didn't touch the longest field goal. Oh, nope, sorry, I did. I got a couple. One, I have McPherson over 7.5 points, and longest
Okay.
field goal over 47.5.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think he's a stud. That guy is a stud. Underrated story. He could win MVP. Don't be afraid to throw your money on him. He's paying over 100 to 1 right now. Keep your eye on him for MVP, man.
I mean, it would be like Malcolm Butler, because didn't Malcolm Butler win the MVP when the Patriots won that Super Bowl? I feel like he did.
No, I think
He should have if he did.
I think Brady won it that year. I could be wrong. That could be the Edelman year, though. That could be
No,
the
that was
Edelman year.
Atlanta. That was Atlanta.
That was Atlanta. Yeah. Yeah. No,
No, Edelman won against the Rams. Yeah, Edelman won it against the Rams. They only had 13 points.
Yes, because it was a low scoring.
Yeah.
There was a low scoring game, and they just kept feeding Edelman for like 7-8 yard catches.
Yeah. He might have won it that year. I forget, but it could have been Brady too. But if the game comes down to like a 56-yard field goal, say Cincinnati's in that position, I think they'd give it to Burrow. But it's hard to not give it to McPherson. He won you the game. Like, Burrow put you in position, but I mean, what a story. If they only scored, like, if he gets 4 field goals over 50 yards and say they win a low scoring game, if it's the opposite of what you think, if it's 20-17, he should win it, not Burrow, because he didn't capitalize any of those into touchdowns.
Exactly. So you never know. That's the one thing about the Super Bowl. There's so many different props that it's not just who's going to win or what's the score going to be. You're looking for any little thing. And if you're in a group of 5-6 guys or girls or whoever's betting, if you're in a demographic of people betting and everyone's got this action or that action, people are into the game for different reasons. Someone's happy and someone's pissed off right beside you. And that's what's cool about the Super Bowl. And everyone thinks they know what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. Look at me and you. We're sitting here. We're saying what we think is going to happen. We don't have a clue what's going to happen.
Not a clue.
We'd like to take estimated guesses from watching the game and studying, but we don't have a clue at the end of the day.
No, nobody does. The people at the mothership say they don't know. They can pretend like they know. They don't know. Who do you got winning the game?
I have the Rams winning the game. I think it's normally you want to see the Cinderella story happen, but I kind of like the Rams too. Like, I've always liked the Rams since the start of the year. Like, the good thing, whatever team wins, I'm not going to be disappointed. I think I'm going to leave. I'm happy. I'm really happy because every headline is a good headline. I think for either of these teams, if they win, it's okay. Good for them. But I got to go with the Rams. I think they just have more offensive weapons. I think they have a better defensive line. I think they're going to sack Burrow. And when you're sacking Burrow, yes, he got lucky in the Tennessee game. I don't think you're going to get that lucky. I'm not saying he's going to get sacked 9 times, but I just think that the Rams have more offensive weapons, and I think their defense is just a little better.
Yeah, I agree. I think on paper, the Rams should win this game by 10+, maybe even 2 touchdowns. If you look at the talent on both rosters, it's not that close if you really look at it. But I'm going to pick the Rams as well. But if I was betting, I would take Bengals to cover. And I think it's 4, right? Or I think that's what the number is, right? I mean, it's right in there. If it was 3, I mean, that's a push. I mean, you can get a push there, I guess. But if it was 3, I'd probably take the Rams. I'd probably lay the points. But for some reason, this whole playoffs has been so chaotic and has made 0 sense. I think
close games. There's been a lot of close games.
Yeah, the last 6 have been 1 possession. I think this game will have to be the same. It's only fitting that it ends in another highly contested game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why my dad and I put our picks in today. And the ticket we put the most money on was a tie. We bet a tie. We bet tie because just look at what's happened the last few weeks. It's been like you say, 1 possession games. It's going to come down to the wire. And I think when you bet tie, in your heart, you just want it to be a close game. When you're betting a tie, you're like, you kind of like both teams. You're like, I'd like to see it get close. Like you don't bet a tie when you're like, if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm not betting a tie with the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I'm
No.
betting Patriots to win. And
Yeah.
maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it, but you don't want a tie. You want your team to smoke them.
Yeah, your heart level is going to be jumping through your
Yeah,
chest.
you don't want a tie. You want them up 14-0 after one.
Right.
But I think the Rams are gonna do it. I just think they're a better football team in the sense that you want to cheer for the Cinderella, but at the same time, you don't want to be the guy saying, "Why did I not just go with the sure thing?"
Yeah,
Like,
you don't want to look. You don't want to look like an idiot. If somebody says,
Yeah.
"Yeah, no, I took the Bengals and I took the points and I took Burrow passing yards and yada yada yada," and you're down $50 and you're just sitting there like, "What went wrong?"
Yeah.
Do you like the halftime show lineup? Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, Snoop. I'm sure I'm missing somebody in there. What do you think? Do you like the halftime show?
So I had a talk with my dad about that today. My dad was in the time of classic rock bands and Prince and kind of a different type of music when it came to the halftime show.
Right.
Um, I'm hit or miss a lot of years. Honestly, I don't really care about it. I think they make the performance more important than it needs to be in the
Right.
sense of so much talk about the Super Bowl halftime show, what kind of performance they put on. I watch it every year. I think it's good. I mean, I like Snoop Dogg. I don't know how it will go over in the crowd in the sense of you never know how the performance is going to turn out. It doesn't really matter the type of music, but
No,
I
yeah,
think they'll
you're
do.
right.
I think they'll do a good job. I think they're going to put a lot of money into it, especially Full House. Kind of in the States, COVID's over. They're really pumping this game. It's Los Angeles. You're in LA.
Yeah.
There's some cities. There's New York City. There's LA. Like you're in Los Angeles. You want to put on a show. So I think it's going to be a good show, and you just hope for a good show. You don't hope for a bad halftime performance.
Right. Yeah, I like it. I love Eminem. Been listening to him my whole life. Like I said, Snoop. I mean, I like you. Like, there's some years I just throw it on mute because I don't care. Like, I think the guy last year, I think he was Canadian, but I have no interest. I forget who it was.
Weekend, wasn't it? Last
Yeah,
year?
no interest in him. I didn't know who he was before. I didn't care. Bruno Mars. I was like, okay, no. Adam Levine. I mean, I'll be honest. I prefer the women performances, and I prefer when they're attractive women. I'll just point it out. Katy Perry, I thought was pretty good. J Lo and Shakira. People complained about the outfits. I thought they looked beautiful on the stage. But I'm looking forward to this one. I know the music, I think it fits LA very well, Snoop and everything. I like that. So I like, like you said, it's too long. That's one thing. And you just want the game to come back on, to be honest. I mean, you're just like, hey, when's this over? Like, let's get to the second half. I need to get to bed eventually here. But yeah, I think it'll be good. At least we can hope it can be good. What's your Super Bowl routine? Do you watch it with people? Do you go see your dad? Do you watch it by yourself? Kind of what's your yearly routine for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think it's different every year. There's some years, the years the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, I like to watch it with my dad because we're both
Right.
we're both Patriots fans. He got me into being a Patriots fan when I was young, so I enjoyed watching the games with my dad when the Patriots were playing. Um, and I think it all depends on my time in life too. When I was in junior playing junior hockey, when I was in university, normally the boys have something planned. You get together with your team and you watch the game as a team. When I was a little younger, it was watching it with my dad. And now it kind of changes every year. Last year, I watched the game with my dad, kind of kept it quiet. It's tough now where I work Monday mornings. There was one year I was at the rink 6:30 in the morning after the Super Bowl. You're not getting after one when you got to work at 6:30 in the morning.
No, yeah.
So to me, it depends on the year. Last year was my dad. This year, I think it's going to be pretty quiet. I'm on the ice right up until close to game time. So I want to get home and, shower and put my feet up. And I think I'm just going to watch the game with my roommate. He's a big NFL fan too. And he's got some action on the game as well. So I think I'll just watch it with my roommate, and I got to work Monday morning. So And
Yeah.
it's tough with COVID too, with the restrictions and going out. And in Fredericton this weekend, there's a big protest. So I think
Yeah.
I'm just gonna kind of keep it quiet at the house. What about yourself?
Yeah. I had that conversation with my mother today. I told her I'd come up for supper prior to game time, but after that, I like to watch the game by myself. I'm one of those weirdos. 95% of the sports I listen to on mute, which is weird for some people. It's just
I do a lot of that. I watch a lot of sports on mute. Hockey, I watch a lot of hockey quiet.
yeah. I just I'll throw on Fleetwood Mac or something in the background and watch the event. But yeah, I think it's the last game of the year. I want to enjoy it as much as I can. Not that I wouldn't enjoy it with my mother, but we bicker about different things, and she has her favorites, and I don't root for anybody, so I find it hard to interact with people that way. But yeah, I'll spend some time with the folks in the afternoon, and then watch the game with the pup at nighttime. So yeah,
Who's
but
calling? Who's calling the game? Do you know what?
NBC,
It's not
Collinsworth and
NBC.
Al Michaels. Yeah.
Okay. I wonder how they're gonna do. I'm always curious to see how the commentating is in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I heard this week. I read it's Al Michaels' 11th Super Bowl.
Wow,
Yeah.
Good for him. That's impressive.
And it might be his last broadcast on NBC, because apparently Amazon's trying to tug at him to come to Thursday nights and pay him quite a big salary to do it.
Yeah, it's I mean that industry is a wild industry when it comes to big high profile commentators.
Yes.
High big profile commentators, man, it's a different animal.
Who's your favorite color analyst of the CBS, NBC, Fox? Who's your favorite to listen to call a game for football?
Lately, it's been CBS. I just think Tony Romo has really brought it. I really do believe he's a likable guy. I find he knows the game. My dad we enjoyed watching him play. I like CBS. I think they all do a pretty good job. I don't think there's one where I'm like, man, I just can't stand it if they do the game. I think they're number one top at each network, I think is good.
Yes.
So
yeah.
To me, CBS. So if I had to pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're all good. I even think the Monday night booth has gotten a lot better. They obviously got Jason Witten was a disaster, but they got rid of Booger McFarland. He wasn't good at it.
He's everywhere still, though. Booger's everywhere, man.
Oh, yeah, college football,
man. Christmas time, he was doing games, man.
Yeah, I know. He gets more of a platform now than ever. That guy. He's making some bank at the mothership, but then, hey, good for him. I thought he'd be canned the second after he got let go from Monday Night Football. So kudos to him. But Ryder, it's been another great season talking football with you. I know we'll do it again with free agency. I mean, there's still the draft. We'll have our takes on wide receivers that shouldn't be drafted that high again this year that we'll be right about. And of course, March Madness on the horizon. So we'll podcast lots coming up, but I just want to say you're on a lot. You're a busy guy. I appreciate your contributions to the podcast, and just know that from the listeners and from me that your contributions don't go unnoticed. So thank you, brother.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on. March Madness. If you're looking at gambling, look at your bets right now to win the tournament. These are going to be your best odds. So quick little gambling tip at the end. If you have a team you're watching right now, watch them and put your bet on them now, because you're going to get much better odds before the tournament. Now, Jug, I really appreciate you having me on, buddy. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you soon. I'm sure we'll be sending a text back and forth here. Absolutely. And looking forward to talking to you soon, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll talk Monday. This is To The Point.